Hey guys, Keely Reason here, owner of Love Up Adventure, where I talk about my marriage. Let me start again. Keely Reason here, owner of Love Up Adventure, where I talk about the marriage, relationship, intimacy, and marriage, and how you can go deeper with your spouse. Today, I'm not really addressing a reader question per se, but something I've seen in my comments a lot lately is this idea of the bait and switch. My wife or husband used to do this thing in our dating life. And we got married and life happened and now they don't do it anymore. They've become complacent, and this is just like a typical thing that happens. I've had a lot of male comments on YouTube. I think more men comment than women, who say that, well, after they get married, the wife no longer wants to have sex with them, and that's so common or so typical. So a couple things I want to say here. That is not every couple's story. It is not the predominant couple story. There are a lot of couples in Love Up Adventure that have very great sex lives. I know that in our community. I know that this can happen. I know that there can be things that maybe a spouse was okay with early in the marriage, or if they were a couple that was okay with having sex before they got married, and then later on things changed. And so that is seen as, one, super common. This is everyone's story. And two, it's a problem with that person. Like, they changed what they're doing and this is a problem. I believe this can be said on both sides of the equation. The husband is complaining about the things the wife doesn't do now that they've been married for a long time. The wife probably has a list of things as well. But let me share a little perspective with you on some of this, especially when it comes to sex, relationships, and all of this. There are a lot of reasons why a person changes what they do for their spouse. It could be just life. They're stressed. They don't have as much to give as they once did because they are now pulled in so many different directions. And we can say, oh, well, you're supposed to always prioritize your spouse. But so much happens in life. Sometimes it's really hard to do that. And there are seasons in life, especially if maybe you have younger kids, you have a super stressful life change, illness in the family, whatever. It can make it really hard to prioritize all of these things that you may have once prioritized in marriage, especially when it comes to intimacy, whether it's sexual, mental, spiritual, all of those things. Another reason could be the person has gotten older and so their hormones have changed. Maybe it's harder for them to get in the mood. That could be a case with the sexual. Maybe they're just going through something mentally. Like, hormone changes causes a lot of change in the brain. And so maybe they're not able to give of themselves like they used to because they're mentally fighting and struggling. Maybe your spouse isn't sharing that with you, or maybe they are, and all you can think is, well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm trying here. I'm trying to help you. And they don't maybe feel safe, or they don't have the ability to get through that. And in those moments, they need love and patience from you rather than judgment of, well, you're not doing the thing that you used to do. It could also be that you and your spouse have a more authentic relationship. Whether we want to admit it or not, there are times in our dating lives and in our early relationship with each other that we might be doing things with our partner that, not to say we don't like it, some people do. I mean, listen, some people do have this attitude of grin and bear it. I just have to grin and bear it because this is what they want. I have to do what they want. And then they get older and advocate for themselves and they're like, no, I'm not going to keep doing this thing I don't want to do just because they like it or they want it, because it doesn't feel authentic to me. It doesn't feel like the thing that I want to put my time into, or something that I enjoy, or it's a huge turnoff to me. I'm having these negative feelings or effects from that thing. So I think this one is the hardest part, is that as you're in a relationship long term, things are going to change because you are developing, hopefully, a more authentic relationship with each other. And that causes a lot of struggle for people because it feels like that person changed a lot. Maybe they didn't change, but they weren't advocating for themselves. They weren't being their true self. And so that is truly where the bait and switch feels like the most betraying. In these places, in these times, if you're in that, my recommendation is one, go see a therapist. And if your spouse won't go with you, go yourself. Look for someone you can talk to and really share the real things that are happening so they can help you work through this. Two, work to understand what changed in your spouse. Why this change? What's going on? How is what's going on in our lives made an effect? Is there something that you're doing in the relationship that's causing this effect? Is it a matter of they were never turned on by this thing or interested in this thing and they did it as long as they could for you? In those cases, in those times, it means your relationship needs to change. And the things that you do together need to change. And that doesn't have to be bad. That can actually be very exciting if you look at it the right way. If you look at these things as adventure. Okay, what we used to do for the last 15 years of our marriage, 20 years of our marriage, 10 years of our marriage, these things aren't working. Let's admit it. We have different desires now. We have different things that we are capable of doing than we were when we first got married. Let's look at this and come at this as an adventure. What can we do together now? What new things can we try now? So it's very easy to stay in a mindset that if the things you enjoyed or like doing with your spouse goes away, then that's all you can do is focus on those losses. Now, instead of that, turn your attention to what can be now. What things can you enjoy together now? What things can you do together now? And this isn't going to help every couple because some couples are at a point where they really need marriage counseling and they're having a lot of contempt for each other and they're not happy with each other and there's a lot of pain and anger and fighting and things that have happened. This isn't really like the best advice for everyone. That's why I say start with the marriage counseling for sure. But also be open that when your relationship changes, like first of all, it's going to change. The way you do life together 20 years down the road is not the way you did life together 5 years in, or definitely not at the start. If you will look at each of these new milestones, each of these new things as a new season of life, a new adventure that is awaiting for you, it can make it more exciting than looking back and saying, well, those were the good old days. One day, if you keep looking at right here and now as your newest, latest adventure, these will be the good old days. You'll be looking back on these with fondness. So that's my recommendation for you. Like if you're in that bait and switch situation, isolate it. Figure out what's going on. If you can, do it. Have a lot of conversation with your spouse. Do it with a counselor or someone that can help you like work through this. What each of these individual things. Look for ways to connect that's different now. Start living in now. What can we do now? What's our life like now? What works for us now? And not try to go backwards. Look for forwards. Look for adventures and new ways to move forward with this. Guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I look forward to chatting with you soon.